welcome to the Geek Legion, and this is going to be my haul update for June 2020, and we're going to start with Brimstone. Now, a big shout out to Eastwood for Life fan, aka Carlos, who actually sent me this copy of Brimstone, a Dutch DVD, and he's actually asked me to review this, so he forwarded me this, very kindly forwarded me this copy to watch. I have yet to watch it, but I'm actually off work in a couple of weeks' time for some annual leave, so I will watch it then and, of course, do a review for it. Don't know much about it. Carlos says it's a very, very violent Western with a kind of a horror tint, so I am looking forward to it. So that is a Brimstone on DVD. One other just a DVD to tell you about this month, and this is season 1 of the TV show 24. Now, I actually have the entire series on DVD, but I've seen this on eBay and it's £3, and it's a limited edition version in this kind of metal case here of the first season. And, you know, I thought, well, you know, I really do enjoy 24. It's one of my favourite TV shows, so it's nice to kind of get a limited version. Now, it does have a little timer here, but the battery's actually run out, and that, I guess, would have kind of counted down and stuff. It's a little damaged. We do have a little bit of a dent there, but it is actually still sealed. But for £3, it was really just kind of a bit of a kind of a spur of the moment little thing to get. So onto the kind of the bulk of the Blu-rays here. I actually purchased a bundle of Blu-ray Steelbooks for £23 off eBay, and there was one specific Blu-ray that I wanted, which I'll tell you when we get to it. I thought I may as well get this, and kind of like I'll have a few extra ones as well. So this is kind of the rest of them, which I wasn't too fussed. I probably wouldn't have got them separately. But the Hobbit Unexpected Journey, I actually have the Hobbit Unexpected Journey about 4 times previously. So this is about the 5th one I've got, because I have bought a few Steelbook bundles before, and they've always included the Hobbit Unexpected Journey. They're all different. I have about 5 different versions of this movie. Anyway, this was it's the same image as the Jumbo Steelbook from the UK, but it is actually a singular Steelbook, and it looks like it's Asian or some type of Asian country. Can't tell which, but as you can see from the text on here. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Hobbit fan necessarily, but I just ended up with loads of different versions of this movie. Next up, we have Attack the Block. This once again was from that same bundle I was talking about. This one's actually sealed, and this one stars John Boyega, and it's quite a fun science fiction kind of horror movie about these hairy aliens that attack this kind of inner city block. That's, you know, we've got John Boyega there. You've got Nick Frost in a role. So yeah, it's pretty fun. And this is a German Steelbook. Again, in the that same bundle for £23, I got Good Morning Vietnam. One of the best Robin Williams films, I think. So it doesn't get talked about maybe these days as much. Fairly kind of innocuous Blu-ray Steelbook, I have to say. But obviously it goes to the kind of the military theme, and like kind of the ammo boxes and stuff that they got there. Obviously it doesn't come with the J colours you can make out there, but nonetheless, I'm actually quite happy to have this one. Then we can talk about Total Recall, the remake starring Colin Farrell. I believe it was 2012 off the top of my head. And once again, this is a UK Steelbook, and this was on that bundle I was talking about. I'll quickly tell you a funny story that always reminds me of this film. I actually went on a date to see this at the cinema with a girl obviously at the time, and she was super nervous all the time, and it was actually the second date. And we went to the cinema and we watched the film, obviously. And then we came out, I went to the loo, and then she ran away. She ran away, and that was the last I saw of her. So there you go. Amusing story that this film reminds me of, Total Recall. And then we have The Day That Earth Stood Still. This is the original movie. Obviously, it was remade with Keanu Reeves. This is the original 50s film, I think. Yeah, obviously one of the kind of the seminal 50s sci-fi movies. Not the most amazing Steelbook, I have to be honest with you, but it kind of goes with the time frame that it was made, I suppose. Again, this sort of one was also in that bundle for £23. Also in that bundle we have Looper. This one directed by Rian Johnson, who of course went on to direct the Last Jedi. Love It or Loathe It. This one stars Bruce Willis. It's a pretty good science fiction movie. And none of these films that Steelbook so far I was all that fussed about getting on their own. But I wanted to get the last one, which I'll show you in a minute, because it's kind of been part of a theme. I was going to get that anyway, and for £23, I thought, well, I may as well get the bundle and get all these other Steelbooks as well. But before we get to that, a couple of other ones I want to show you. Black Panther. This is a Best Buy American Steelbook. Now, this particular Steelbook, I'll have to say, I wouldn't have even known it existed had I not watched another American YouTuber's haul video. And I'd watched this, and he had picked it up and kind of shown it in his collection update, and I had no idea this was even released until I had seen it in that unboxing. So this goes to show you the benefits of obviously watching other people's unboxings, because it will introduce you things and kind of pull pickups, because you'll see things that you may not even know exist. And I'm pretty on top of the Marvel stuff, and this one kind of had slipped me by. It seems to be a bit of a one-off, like a kind of a 4K re-release with this kind of pop art colour. I'm not actually the biggest fan of Black Panther, to be honest with you. I actually think I actually have some problems with it, but nonetheless, I'm a bit of a Marvel completionist, so if it's not massively overexpensive, I will pick it up. Staying with the States, I picked up Mandy. And this is obviously, again, an American Blu-ray Steelbook. I don't believe this is actually currently available in any other country. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I know a lot of people go crazy with this for this movie. I actually think it's somewhat overrated, but I still do enjoy it. But I really like the artwork, I have to say. It's one of those kind of really lovely kind of heavy metal kind of style designs that reminds you of like an 80s heavy metal album cover and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to pick up the Steelbook. I actually already have the movie on a VHS, kind of faux VHS Blu-ray set. But yeah, I do, Steelbooks are my kind of like my main version, so I kind of wanted to pick this up. And then we're going to go into some action hero, specifically Arnie films, which I'll show you in a minute. But this is more of a Stallone film, so I'll kind of show this one first. Obviously, this is the Expendables, which has a whole host of big names in it. This is the German Steelbook for the first movie. The Expendables Steelbooks you can kind of pick up for fairly cheap, so they are part of my kind of like Arnie and Stallone collections, and there's a hell of a lot of them, to be honest, from different countries. And there's actually two versions from Germany, one black and one white. So I'll have to pick the black one up if I don't, if I can see it for fairly cheap. But this is the first one. German Steelbook. So this is Total Recall, and this was the movie that I was in this bundle I was talking about. That was the one I specifically wanted. Now I was looking at getting the German Total Recall Steelbook at some point anyway, and as it was part of this bundle for £23, I thought, well, I may as well get that. It is it's not particularly in the best condition. There's a couple of scrapes and small dents on it, but to be honest, this Steelbook's art is quite similar to the British version, so, I'm not too worried, to be brutally honest. But yeah, I want to kind of get as much of the Arnie collection. You're going to see a few more in just a minute for the Arnie Steelbook collection. So that is the German Total Recall Steelbook. Staying with Germany, I picked up the Red Heat version that came out prior to the 4K kind of red one that came out quite recently, and I believe this one is a exclusive to a German retailer called Saturn. But I picked it up from Amazon, and it has the kind of the classic cover and a kind of like a monochrome style. Fun Arnie film that again doesn't really get talking about amongst his more famous works, I suppose. We got Commando, the director's cut. This one I actually have decided, I've got so many kind of Steelbooks, to be honest with you, and a lot of them, as I've mentioned, I've picked up in bundles, and to be honest with you, some of the films I'm really not that fussed with, so I actually traded some in and picked up this from CEX, because I do want to kind of flesh out my Schwarzenegger Steelbooks, and UK really, the CX going to do kind of UK versions, but I needed this one, and they had it in the local branch with the J card, so I traded in a few kind of ones that I wasn't really fussed about to pick this up. So technically speaking, no money changed hands for it. I have to show you this actually, because this is one of the most bizarre decisions I've ever seen on the Steelbook. Now, I don't know why either of the Steelbooks have not had the proper cover art on it, but I have to show you this. This really bizarre back artwork, which is not a picture from the film. It's just a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger where they photoshopped a random gun to him. It's one of the most bizarre choices that you would expect to see in like some type of bootleg edition. But no, this is an official release, so just a really bizarre choice. Terminator Genesis, the 4K Zavi version, they released a few in this kind of series with this kind of style artwork, and actually that series seems to have really gone quite up in value. I was surprised because I actually thought the art was not the best, to be quite honest, but you've got the Tomb Raider ones and stuff, and a few other films that are in this kind of style artwork, and they go for a reasonable amount of money, especially the British versions. I mean, I see like the American and Canadian versions of this fairly often, but this is the British one, which is, I don't know, just doesn't seem to come up very often. And Genesis has, again, so many Steelbooks. This is yet another one. I've still got other ones I've got to get. And the final one for this one, there's another American one, and this is the Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I picked up from Amazon, and it was fairly cheap, to be honest, so why not? The only thing I've got to say with the Terminator Steelbooks is how many times can you have an endoskeleton on the front? You know, it gets a little boring, to be honest. There's so many. Eventually I'll do an Arnold Schwarzenegger collection, and you'll see how many similar but different Steelbooks there are, all with the kind of like the the T800 endoskeleton and a slightly different pose. So there you go. You know, Terminator 2 American version. Need it for the Arnie collection. Anyway, that is the conclusion of the June pickups. What do you think? Any of those particularly tickle your fancy? Please let me know in the comment section. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next month.